Hello, everybody. I am... Okay, so I've been sick this weekend. I took a weekend to myself, partially because I felt like I deserved it a little bit. Let's move the camera a little bit. And partially because I've been incredibly sick. And I am just getting over it. And I was planning to do the new the next CPAC vid today, but I can't record because you might be able to tell my voice is kind of fucked. So instead, the Wolf of Wokeness, is that a Wolf of Wall Street parody? It probably is Con Crud from Quiet Kasuna. It's probably Con Crud from CPAC. Like, if I'm being real, like a 90% chance, yeah. There we go. Alright. And my big thing is, so I have my hot tea here that will hopefully, my sinuses are draining out, is the thing. And I don't want to be terrible today. And the things that I'm really afraid will impact the stream are sneezing. Like, the voice I could put up with. I took some nasal spray, so I'm hoping that will clear that up. And then I have my tea, so I'm hoping I won't be too terribly sniffly. But yeah, I want to make sure that the other thing is that I need to stream. Like, I need to keep my streaming hours up because like I took a week off to go to CPAC, and I need the hours back. But how is everybody else doing? 80 memes there. I announce streams if anybody wants to know when streams are going to be. I announce streams generally either in the morning or around noon, day of, unless it's something, we've planned out before. Generally morning or around noon, day of. And it's my little Ninjago dragon I built today. Day of, and I go put it on Twitter. I put it on Twitter and YouTube. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I honestly, I sound worse than I feel. Like, the worst of it was yesterday. Like, I'm feeling much better. But as you can tell, I've kind of been going through it a little bit. Which is fine. I need to get back to editing and stuff. So tomorrow I'm really going to hit the editing hard, and I'm hoping to have the, CPAC part 2 out by the end of the week, but we'll see how that goes. Damn it. I'm getting honey all over the place. Snuggles. Hiya, Dee Dee. Hiya, Snuggles. Missed a bunch of schoolwork that I got to make up, so not very good, especially since I got to make up 4 tests. What are you doing, 80 memes? Go make up those tests. Literal sense. Hope you feel better. Yeah, Banana Brains. I'm sure it's probably like a mix of Con Crud from CPAC and a blend of that and like just from stress. Like, because before I put out the latest CPAC video, and I was not sure, I had been hoping it was going to do well, and it's been doing very, very well, which has been a real saving grace for me, but like my views had been flagging, and that's just because I hadn't put anything out in like 2 weeks, but like the stress of CPAC, I just like compacted inside me like a black hole, and I did not let it out until that first video was done. And I think letting my guard down a little bit, my body was like, oh, okay, we can fold in on ourselves now. Good evening, Taco Time. I'm gonna go. I accidentally dripped some honey from my tea over here, and now it's right where my arm is gonna sit, and that's gonna bug me. So I'll be right back. All right. Okay. Whew. All right. Yes, I am sick, but I'm still here because we have some stuff to go through. And I don't want to deprive you all of my brilliance, even though I look like hell today. Oh, that's good. I decided to add some, I have some lemon juice in my fridge from making cocktails a couple months ago. How is life as an undercover agent, Ben? It's been fun. It's been funny to watch everybody reacting. I put, like, you know, I put months of work into the CPAC video, like months of planning, like working on it simultaneously with the anti-Semitism essay, which, if you all know, that one was a huge effort too. That one took over a month on its own. So it's been really cool to see everybody enjoy it and also not be pissed at me about the Grindr cliffhanger. Like, everybody has been very chill and cool about it. When I was worried the Grindr cliffhanger would be more of a Halo 2 situation, but no, it seems like everybody's been enjoying it pretty well. Thank you, B. Parker. May or may not have downloaded Grindr. Thanks for the CPAC video. Thanks to the CPAC video? Oh, I don't know if Johnny Viral, I don't know if Grindr is worth downloading because of the... I don't think there's anything in part 2 that will persuade you that Grindr is a good thing. "100% oxygen, Halo 2 situation." Really quick, 100% oxygen, how old are you? I'm not gonna like bully or anything. I'm just asking, how old are you? 100% oxygen. Yes, Stephen Mystery, Grindr is trash. 100% oxygen, where are you? Not a minor, but an anachronism for a fry. I was referencing when Halo 2 came out, it famously ended on a cliffhanger that, like, kind of came... When you play it now, it's weird that people were as mad as they were, because it does have, like, a third act and a climax, and, you know, it even has, like, a final boss fight, which even the original Halo didn't have. So it's weird that people were as mad as they were, but people were pissed because it ends with Chief saying, you know, he's going to go finish the fight, and then cut to credits. And it really is, it's a very jarring cut to credits. In fairness, it's like in the middle of a cutscene. What's CPAC? CPAC is the Conservative Political Action Conference. If you only Council of Pythons, if you only watch me on Twitch, you are missing out on all of my main content, which is on YouTube. And I did a entire undercover documentary video going undercover to the largest gathering of conservatives of the year. Or I did the first one, part 1 of 2, and I am working on part 2 this week. There was another thing I wanted to reply to. Who was it? Yeah, Pinky Punk, that was the thing that I noticed, is that CPAC is not a... Like, I think people confuse CPAC with the RNC, which is the Republican National Convention, and CPAC is not or at least not anymore, and arguably not since Trump, has it been a, like, place for mainstream conservatism. Like most people's grandparents' conservatism, where they read Bill O'Reilly books and they're mostly not involved in politics except for watching Fox News. And as radical as that stuff can be, it is not anywhere near the level of radicalization of Trump and Bannon and all the other shit. CPAC was literally just, which I was expecting, I was expecting to see somebody there voting for Nikki Haley. I was expecting to see somebody there towing the party line. But no, it's just Trump. It is just they might as well have called it TrumpCon. I'm not even kidding. Many people were banned from Grindr simply for trying to sell drugs. The Sassari, many people were banned from Grindr simply for trying to sell drugs. Yeah, because that's illegal. Like I understand that probably those drugs shouldn't necessarily be illegal, but yeah. Like that's not too terribly surprising. Oh no, I'm getting drippy. All right, I'll be right back one more time and then we'll get started. Oh my goodness. I have all of the excuse me. I have all the pressure, like, I can feel it on my sinuses, just like ready to release, and it's driving me up a friggin' wall. Pink Guy 1313, fellas, Grindr ain't for drugs, it's for gay sex. You'd be amazed at how often those two overlap. Yeah, Squid Pope, that's going in the video. I was talking to some of my Discord members about the lady who... So there were actually two separate women who confessed to me that they're, like, members of their family no longer talk to them when I was at the Trump con. And one of them actually, and I believe I have to go check my audio recordings because I didn't get it on video, but I believe I got it on audio of her, like, actually getting teary and, like, starting to cry to me because she was worried about the souls of her children who had been brainwashed by academia and didn't want to talk to her anymore. And that was another running theme that is mostly in part 2, is when I really started to, like, after Thursday, and part 2 ends on Thursday. And then Friday and Saturday is when I really started to reach out and talk to other attendees more. And I want to say it was at least 3 for sure, but it might have been 4. I'll have to go check. 3 to 4 different people, all related to me, ways in which their family, like their children, their close relatives, had isolated themselves from them over their political beliefs. And like it really... And I bring this all up, this is all in the script for the next video, but it really solidifies the idea of CPAC as a place for
like a safe space for MAGA people. Like, they go there for not just because they, you know, of course, believe and hate a bunch of other people, but because they want that sense of community that they feel is being denied them by the mainstream and the people who are like, no, you're a hateful piece of shit, even their own family members. It's like actually sad, you know, for all the horrible things they might believe or do or admit to, like, it sucks that they have reached a point where even their family is like, no, we will not talk to you anymore. Like, you are doing these horrible things, which I haven't even reached with my family. But what I'm hoping, if any tangible good comes from these videos, I'm hoping one of them will be educating people on Project 2025, because like it feels like a lot of people on the left kind of forgot about that, and I've been meaning to do more in-depth coverage. I will probably, once I get the CPAC video out, I'll probably do an in-depth, like, what's the word I'm looking for? In-depth stream. Good God. Sorry, brain slow today. I'll probably do an in-depth stream on it, but no, Project 2025 is terrifying, and I hope that more people, through the CPAC undercover videos, more people are made aware of that. And then also, I hope that it gets spread, like the church video, to a point where it gets people to, like, get an outsider looking in perspective and try and come to it honestly and realize, like, oh shit, like, this movement that me or my family member or, you know, this other person in my life who believes in MAGA is a part of is, like, actually crazy. It is actually a cult of personality. It's like people say that, you know, and people have been saying it ever since Trump was in office. It's like, oh my gosh, like even back to the election where he was saying, the 2016 election, where he was saying, you know, I could shoot somebody on Main Street, but people would still vote for me. And people were like, oh, might be a dangerous cult of personality. It's like, yeah, you fucking think? But people really, I don't think people understand the cult aspect of it. Like, it really is, like, having been there, it still feels so surreal. Like, it's hard to properly convey, but the closest thing is that, like, the weird moments at CPAC almost directly mirror the weirdest moments I had at the hate church. Like, from the fervent devotion, the mindless praise and adulation, like, to the lack of cognitive dissonance when violence is brought up, and then they can turn around and say, like, oh, we're actually peaceful people. Like, they're neck and neck. They're the same. Jodax, thank you very much for super chatting $10 and splitting. Have a great UFO stream, everyone. Off to play DS3. Is that Dark Souls 3? Is that... There's another DS3, isn't there? T with Goblins, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub to Iron Core. I saw somebody ask, do I think 2025... Mockingbird, do you think Project 2025 will actually get instated if Republicans get in office? Furthermore, do you think it'll get instated no matter the candidate? No, it won't get instated no matter the candidate. It is specifically a Trump thing. Here's the thing about Project 2025. It has been made specifically for a Trump presidency because the people backing it know that Trump can be persuaded or can be on board with all of the ultra-nationalist policies. Nikki Haley, if Nikki Haley gets, all right, in the bizarre, weirder things have happened, but like in the bizarre outcome where Nikki Haley gets nominated president, for example, Nikki Haley might take some stuff from there, but she is not an out-and-out nationalist, ultra-nationalist, and not chummy, especially with people like Steve Bannon, in the way Trump is. Like, it is not the exact same. It could be, in theory, done with any evil Republican, but Trump, I think, is the only one who has no... Like, Trump and DeSantis and other sycophants like him are the only ones who have no worry about the brakes right now. Like, Trump is a vengeful asshole. Yeah, Kermit Thorson. No one else is so stupid to be so pliable. And also just, like, blinded by his egotistical rage over the losses that he's suffered in the years since and the lawsuits and everything else. No, the thing with Project 2025 is that this isn't just a perspective thing. Like, people keep, people, I think, are treating it like it's, oh, we'll have a chance to vote it down in the court. Like, that is, they are specifically creating it from the ground up so they won't have to do that. That they can just completely circumvent it. The entire point is to give the president executive authority over everything, especially investigative agencies like the CIA and the FBI. And they've thought of everything. Like, this is a collaborative effort between, like, I want to say it's like 40 different Washington conservative think tanks, like, led by the Heritage Foundation. Like, it is not, they are leaving nothing to chance. If Trump gets in office, they say it on the website, they have a 180-day plan. 180 days, just a couple months, to roll everything out, to strip so many government agencies of funding, to strip, quote unquote, DEI and wokeness initiatives. And that, like, if you go and actually read Project 2025, which is, we don't have time to do it today, and we wouldn't be able to even do it in a whole stream because it's 900 pages. Like, so much of it is like obscure tax stuff, and a lot of it is deregulation. But like the other half of it shows you where their agenda is. It's not on the economy. It's not in providing for the middle class or any of the other bullshit that, like, fiscal conservatives will try and tell you. Because they use nomenclature like wokeness, specifically in the outline. They will talk about stripping wokeness from our institutions and our government bodies, and, like, going against DEI initiatives and stuff. It is, yeah, it kind of is. Project 2025 feels in general like Palpatine's plan in the prequels. Like, kinda, a little bit. Like, you're not wrong. Like, a lot of the Palpatine coming to power stuff was based on George Lucas looking at, like, the Patriot Act and, like, George Bush pressing executive power and, torture and sending, going into the green zone, WMDs in Iraq and all that shit. Like, a lot of the using quote unquote terrorism, manufacturing events to justify seizing power was based on that stuff. But you're absolutely right that, like, it really, yeah, like, that fully aligns also to what Trump's doing. Hey dog, what are you doing? My dog's just sitting there being weird. I'm like, yeah, she's a little quiet. Who said, somebody was saying the left doesn't take Project 2025 seriously enough. Yeah, it's been Michelle Marty on YouTube. I don't think the left takes Project 2025 seriously enough. I think you're absolutely right, because when Project 2025 was announced, I remember reading about it, and I think we went over some of it on stream. But I was in the middle of some other project. I don't remember what it was. And so I was like, okay, I will just, like, I'll put this off, and I think somebody else will cover it. Another, like, Sean or, H. Brommer isn't going to do it. I think one of the problems is that a lot of the big essayists with really big followings, and sorry, I'm all drippy, like Abigail is off filming movies, and she's been doing great work. Like, she did that piece on the British apartments, and like Harris puts out a video a year. Contra, Natalie puts out like a video, 2 videos a year or something like that. And so I was kind of waiting for them, like, somebody in that space, but, like, I feel like a lot of bandwidth is taken up. But then I was waiting for, somebody smaller on the rope, and it seems like nobody has really, and maybe I will. I've been I feel like I've been pretty justifiably busy lately. But like somebody needs to do I tried to do as good of a summary as I could in like 10-15 minutes in the CPAC video. Like I tried to really sum up like why it's so scary in very broad points. But even that took, like, the problem is that it is such a large and sweeping measure from conservatives that even explaining it, I had like 7 or 8 different sources. And each of those sources, when you go and read them, are these huge long articles that are summing up massive parts of this outline. So it's like the idea of trying to funnel all of that into one palatable, easy to understand project is, that's ambitious. That's hard to do. Leah Miller. Yes, Leah Miller did do something on it. The real Zara Julia, thank you very much for subscribing with Prime. I am sorry. God, I am so sniffy. Yeah, look, I think the James Somerton vid was obviously very, like, important and necessary. I don't want to downplay, like, the importance of the kind of journalism and craft that Harris brings to his videos. I think it's absolutely true. He does incomparable work. You know, it sets a standard by which so many other things are judged. I think Neil from the Leftist Cooks said something to the effect of, like, there's a feeling in the air after H-Bomber drops a video where every other video essayist is just kind of buckled down and tries to, like, make sure everything is as tight and polished as possible. And it's true. Dan Snacks, thank you very much for subscribing with Prime. It's true, and Neil was right when they said that. But I think there's also I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's... Oh, sorry, I'm just destroying my desk while I'm talking. I don't think it's necessarily fair to expect someone to do something just because you want them to. But at the same time, I think the level of research and quality and the authority that people in the position of Sean, in the position of H-Bomber, when they put something out, not only do people pay attention to it, but they trust it. Because they know they've done such good work, because they have done such intensive research, and they've dedicated themselves to that. And that's how that stuff spreads. And so I feel like again, I don't want to say anybody should be forced to do, just because I think they should do it. But I think there is almost a responsibility to cover something as massive as Project 2025. And not to put it on, I know I've talked about Harris a lot here, but not to put it at any one person's feet. It just seems like collectively, the leftist space in general is failing to really deliver and talk on this. I think Sean would be the perfect person to do something like that. Oh. Yeah, Moth Mom Jess, I used to watch Somerton and liked him. My indiscerning taste, where I will watch somebody and just be like, oh, this isn't for me. Don't know why. Something just feels off. I've been proven valid once more, because I had tried watch, because, you know, I'm in the leftist space, so, like, over the years I've been recommended tons of James Somerton videos, and I always started watching them, and I'm like I don't want to be like, oh, I knew it the whole time, because I literally didn't watch enough of his videos to be like, oh, he stole this from somebody. Like, no, it was just, there was something about the presentation that wasn't there for me. You know, it reminds me of Peter Coffin in a way, where it's like, I came to Peter Coffin and Thought Slime around the same time, and the difference between, I think there's a pretension that both James Somerton and Peter have that Mildred just doesn't have. Like, Mildred is a goofy goose, and I appreciate that authenticity. Hiveside, did I do the Grinder video already? No, The Grindr video will be up. The Grindr video is going to be the first part of CPAC Part 2. It's going to be like 10 minutes of Grindr. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to censor some photos, though. Oh my god. Alright, Fatally Tyler, what is going on here? I gotta track down. Nothing is going to happen to LGBT people, just don't harden nobody else and you'll all be fine. This isn't strictly an LGBT issue. Well, that's where you're wrong, actually. Because LGBT people aren't harming anybody right now, broadly. And of course, there are always going to be outliers. People are going to point to, oh, what about this trans shooter? Which is hard to do because so many of those are bullshit perpetuated by libs of TikTok. Or what about this sexual assaulter? But like, when you look at the massive amount of people per capita, trans and queer people still make up per capita around an expected amount of crimes and criminals, right? So it seems like people always forget the policemen, the parishioners, the pastors who are out there abusing people, but they really like to hold the magnifying glass on trans people, or really like to hold it on queer people and say, look at how these queer people are hurting everybody. When the reality is, and this is something nobody wants to admit because it means that they would have to do some house cleaning and have to admit that there is problems in their own movement. And there are problems in every movement. But the reality is there are going to be assholes and criminals and monsters hiding behind literally every label. But that doesn't mean that every trans person or every queer person should have to suffer for that. Oh, God. Ugh. Yeah, ends of the librarian. Nothing is going to happen to LGBTQ plus people. Sounds like a statement made by somebody who hasn't been paying attention lately. Yeah, like it's... Like go look at Project 2025. Just look up Project 2025 LGBTQ. Like, tell me that they aren't trying to literally legislate being publicly trans out of existence. Because they are. They literally are. Like, tell you what, I got an internet browser right here. Put this on hold for a second. I hope you guys are all getting my dog drinking her water audio. Oh. Hello, Logan Mansion Games. How you doing? Project 2025's 180-day playbook is driven by such ideology. Quote, look at America under the ruling and cultural elite today, writes Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation in the document's foreword. Quote, children suffer the toxic normalization of transgenderism with drag queens and pornography invading their school libraries. Now, this is me interjecting here. When he says pornography, what he means are books that are educating kids about sex. Books that are broadly, like genderqueer, are about and aimed at young adults. And genderqueer, first off, if anybody ever shows you a page from genderqueer, and I know exactly what page they're going to show, and say, look, these are kids. They're not. They haven't actually read the book. They're just going by the very soft art style. Those are women in college. Like, that is the point of the book. I know exactly what page they are going to try and cite. Genderqueer, This Book is Gay is another one, which is essentially a guide so kids don't end up alone and afraid as queer youth, so they don't have to resort to survival sex work, so they don't end up getting diseases or living alone on the street. Like, These are the kinds of things that people are trying to educate queer youth about. But because they also include descriptions of sex, because sex for queer people isn't taught, it can be safe, it can be secure. People have lived entire lives happy with it, but it is not taught in mainstream classes. So people create these books for young adults to give them the education to make sure that they can grow up healthy and secure, to not have abusive relationships, to not be taken advantage of, to not be human trafficked, to not end up on the street, to not end up with STDs, to not end up spreading STDs. And for that work, for books like Genderqueer, for books like This Is Gay, for that work, they are called pornography. So when you wonder, what does Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation, mean by pornography invading our school libraries? That's what he means. Yeah, Sean, sorry, you might have missed. Thank you for donating, Sean. Yes, I am very sick. I am getting over my CPAC sickness. Project 2025 claims to represent the, quote, consensus recommendations of the entire conservative movement for addressing purported crises like these. The first guiding principle is, quote, restore the family as the centerpiece of American life and protect our children, which isn't at all close to the 14 words. How many words is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Ooh. 1 word off. Only 1 word off. I see. No, other Sean. Other Sean. Wade. Oh yeah, the stuff they'll do for abortions in 2025 is fucking terrifying too. They literally have plans to, because here's the thing, is I think they know they will at least face pushback at a state level for some of these things, especially from like left-leaning states, right? But they've also, like, when I say they've thought of everything, this is the kind of thing they've thought of. Is that while they are, because they're going to ban abortion at a federal level, is the plan. Like, broadly, they're going to executive order ban abortion at a federal level. And you're thinking, okay, well, they can't do that. Like, conservatives, and here's the thing, conservatives have been big on states' rights forever. They are going to just, like, rule that out for states. Like, they are going to literally say, oh no, you can't circumvent this at statehood. It's a federal level thing. And they plan to set up a system where while they're trying to institute this federal level change, say you live in a state like Florida that is going to outlaw abortion, or has outlawed abortion, and you travel out of state, say you're going to Tennessee, Maine, or Tennessee is probably a bad example, Washington, D.C., Virginia, somewhere around there, to get an abortion where it's technically legal while they're trying to outlaw it. There will be a system in place to keep tabs on you so that when it is finally outlawed everywhere at a federal level, they will be able to retroactively charge you with abortion as a crime because you traveled out of state to do it. Like, that is the level of shit that they're talking about here. Here we go. Project 2025's playbook states in its foreword. Next conservative president must make the institutions of American civil society hard targets for woke culture warriors. A hard target, blah, blah, blah. Hardening the target in this case, the playbook continues, quote, starts with deleting the terms sexual orientation and gender identity, diversity, equity, and inclusion, gender, gender equality, gender equity, gender awareness, gender sensitive, abortion, reproductive health, reproductive rights, and any other term used to deprive Americans of their First Amendment rights. So this is literally advocating for open discrimination at a government level. The Trump administration proposed redefining sex across all federal agencies in 2018 in such a way to exclude trans people, which could in turn result in denying trans people protections under anti-discrimination laws. Quote, the end goal here is no less than the complete ostracization of transgender people from public life. This is an attempt to disappear us. When asked whether they saw these efforts as an attempt at erasing types of people, Project 2025 nor the Heritage Foundation responded to our emails before publication. Erasure from official records and policy often accompanies exclusion in other concrete ways, which Project 2025 also suggests. They would strike the word abortion from all laws, policies, and regulations. Here's one of my favorites, and by favorites I mean one of the worst things, because this is some really, like, history belongs to the victor, Nazis taking down the Hirschfeld Institute shit. Like, check this out. They would overhaul policy and research to deny the existence of transgender and non-binary people, and instead pursue methods of ensuring children remain the sex they were assigned at birth. Which, yes, they're talking about corrective care. They're talking about, oh God, why is the word escaping me? God, what's the word I'm looking for, chat? Chat, help me out here. Conversion therapy. Thank you. Yeah, they're talking about conversion therapy. Quote, there is blah, 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 blah. There's an exception. Wait, no. I'm going to start at the beginning. The playbook states the president should declare to education agencies official that sex is properly understood as a fixed biological fact. The CDC should be ordered to stop, quote, collecting data on gender identity, which legitimizes the unscientific notion that men can become women and vice versa, and encourages the phenomenon of ever-multiplying subjective identities. Like, again, this is the legal document that the conservatives are putting forward. And listen to this incredibly loaded, incredibly non-legal language that they're using. Like, it is literally just conservative fallacies and neuroses given form in a tangible way that can affect millions of Americans. Back to the page. The playbook suggests the president eliminate all government research involving transgender people, claiming that the National Institute for Health is, quote, at the forefront in pushing junk gender science and recommending that the next HHS secretary, quote, should immediately put an end to the department's foray into woke transgender activism. What that means is that decades of research into trans people would be just completely ignored. Act like it didn't exist. Act like the noted differences in the brain chemistry between trans people and cis people doesn't exist. Just unscientifically pretend that all of this stuff doesn't exist. And they would get to do this. I talk about this in the CPAC video. They would get to do this because guess what? They get to write the laws. They get to say what does or doesn't exist. And the president, with all of the fucking fascists in his ear, get to push their agendas. Here's the other half of it that directly targets trans people. They will, quote, outlaw anything conservatives deem pornographic, treating the public presence and depictions of queer and trans people as a threat to children and families. Quote, pornography should be outlawed, the roadmap decrees. Oh, come on. The people who produce and distribute it should be imprisoned. Educators and public librarians who purvey it should be classed as registered sex offenders, and telecommunications and technology firms that facilitate spread should be shuttered. Now, here's the thing. You might look at that and think, okay, well, that's a little extreme for porn, which is true. Because we've already had, if you want to talk, we've already had lawsuits in America that have said that porn is free speech, because porn can be art. It can be creative. It can be, like, you can't really judge an art form. The goodness or badness or the amount of goodness or badness porn has in society is something that is not only constantly changing, but constantly up for debate. Like that, but it's also an entirely separate issue from, should we outlaw it outright in a country that we claim to be free? No. But They don't mean, when they're talking about porn here, they are intending to expand the definition beyond just actual porn. Like they are talking about Pornhub here, but they're also talking about literally anything they think is sexually immoral. Like, for example, gender nonconforming people, drag queens, trans people of any stripe. Because here's the thing people don't understand, is that people will look at something like that and they'll be like, okay, well, Jordan, you're just blowing it out of proportion, because there's no way that they would use that against, like, if there was a drag show, or if there was somebody walking down the street who was gender nonconforming, there's no way the cops would stop and pull them over. Here's the thing you don't get, is that once those laws, once there is precedent for them on the books, once the legal language around them has been changed, that allows the people who enforce those laws to kind of work them as they see fit. So if you have a cop who, let's say, buys into groomer panic and reads libs of TikTok all the time and thinks that every drag queen is also a pedophile because that's the kind of thing Chaya Raichik puts out there. Haya Raichik puts out there. With legal language like this, there is nothing that will stop them from being able to, say, raid a drag event. And who's going to stop them if they decide to, I don't know, beat anybody who gets in their way? Like, we already have a crisis in this country where cops can basically say whatever they want to the news media and the news will just take it on fact. That's happened in my town. Like, I've seen that shit happen with my own eyes. So the idea that, oh, okay, this won't be that big of a deal. No, this is going to be a bigger deal than people know if this goes through. And New Republic, this is actually a really good article by the New Republic, and I fully recommend everybody go check it out. It's important to understand what conservatives mean by pornography here. The roadmap refers in its foreword to, quote, pornography manifested today in the omnipresent propagation of transgender ideology. So what they are saying, pornography is manifested in trans ideology. What does that mean? Well, could mean anything, honestly. Like, they can say anything is transgender ideology. That's why they say, like, when Michael Knowles had his little genocide talk last year, everybody's like, oh no, they don't want to kill trans people. They want to kill transgender ideology. It's like, that's not what they meant. This language suggests that the document is adopting the thesis animating right-wing threats and attacks targeting LGBTQ spaces, books, and people. The old trope that lesbian, gay, and bisexual people are out to recruit children and that depictions of their lives are meant to seduce children away from heterosexuality. This thinking holds that transgender people are evidence of a contagious ideology at risk of infecting children. Again, request to define what was meant here, sent to both Project 2025 and Kevin Roberts, did not get a response by time of publication. Outlaw abortion. Until then, surveil abortion in the areas in which it remains legal in order to prioritize criminal cases against chemical abortion and abortion tourism. HHS, quote, HHS should use every available tool, including the cutting of funds, to ensure that every state reports exactly how many abortions take place within its borders. They also want emergency rooms to collect data on miscarriages to try to determine whether patients had taken abortion pills. If you have an abortion using pills, it is the position of Project 2025 that your abortion becomes a crime on January 20th, 2025. January 20th, 2025. People are not ready for this, and people are not taking the Trump possibility of him being a president seriously. And here's the problem, is that we're at a point where we shouldn't have to take it seriously, honestly. If this were a functioning country with a proper, like, president of some kind, it would be a slam dunk. Like, this would not be a concern. The thing is, Biden is doing such a bad job currently. And it's not like what I think the Dems thought would happen with especially Hamas and Ukraine, because it's generally wartime presidents get support. Like, presidents who are seen as defeating our enemies get support. It's why Bush had 2 terms. It's why Obama had 2 terms. It's because they were seen. I mean, it's not the only thing why. Economy, of course, played into it. But broadly, they were seen as strong on war. Biden has appeared the exact opposite, because the longer he is stubbed for Israel, the worse it continues to fucking look. And so now you have somebody who's starting to look a little bit better, even though Trump is basically lying about all the things. Oh God, crime was better, and everything was better under Trump. It's like, no, it's like everything was mostly either, like, if you look at the economy, inflation is up under Biden. Naturally, everybody knows that. But a lot of that has to do with the economy still rebounding from COVID. Almost all the mistakes that Trump made, Biden continued to make about COVID, even though it didn't affect us nearly as much, because it was kind of, a lot of the worst effects had kind of run their course, and they decided to get back to work. Yeah, that's true. Stephen Mystery, war is less popular now than it was 20 years ago. That'll happen when you spend 20 years, when you spend entire generations of people growing up with nothing but war propaganda. People don't think about this a lot, but war propaganda is not just military movies. And through the 2000s, it was literally everywhere. Like, everywhere. Like, it was in superhero movies, naturally, with Iron Man and stuff. It was in Transformers. Like, all 5 of the Bay Transformers movies are basically U.S. military propaganda. Like, basically. Call of Duty, massive phenomenon, too, that just, like, took over the space. It's, like, people don't think about what that does to the psychology of a country. And you want to talk about when people, all these nationalist accounts on Twitter and stuff will talk and be like, oh my gosh, America's so soft, and we're like, China is out there raising up their toddlers who can do advanced algebra and also shoot an AK-47, and we're teaching our kids pronouns. It's like, well, first off, it's not a realistic fear, but also I think it's because the heart of the country is just fucking tired of war, because we have seen so much of it be so fruitless. Like, what did 2 decades in Iraq and Afghanistan really get us tangibly? So what do the voters think that conflict is going to keep doing? If all of that effort, if the most we got out of it was, what, bin Laden dead? Cool. Okay. How does that affect our lives? No, what people actually want isn't a Democrat president to be rah-rah Israel. They want tangible plans of how can you change our economy for the better. And the real problem, isn't that Trump has concrete plans to do that. The real problem is that Trump might be able to convince the median voters, the centrists, the undecideds, the people who flip-flop back and forth, the rich assholes who will vote for whoever gets them the best deal. The real problem is that Trump might be able to convince them that either they had it better under him, or he can make it better again. And here's like the real one of the fascinating elements about being at CPAC was just looking and seeing how many people didn't really grasp, like, you've been through a Trump presidency. Like so many of the speakers and stuff would couch their comments by saying, well, the first time we didn't really know what we were doing. Like, we were just playing it by ear. We were just flying by the seat of our pants. And like, okay, first off, that's not a great selling point for government. But also, you had 4 years. You had 4 years. And you didn't figure it out? You didn't know what you were doing? Like, what are we doing? But yeah, like it would be easy to look at the Trump presidency and be like, oh, you know, it'll be another goofy, ridiculous time and it won't affect us. But like, no, they have concentrated efforts to, like, in their words, quite literally enact revenge. Like this is just, we've just been talking about abortion and queer people. This isn't even talking about how they want to deport 500,000 naturalized citizens. Like, in the first 6 months. They want to take dreamers. They want to take people who were born in America, who have no other nationality, who have never been to another country, and deport them. Like, the sweeping changes they want to make will come so fast and hard. And this is another thing that they are concentrating on. Is they want to attack on every front so that there's no possible way every aspect can be stopped. Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to make it sad, y'all. No, yeah, let's talk about Representative. I know that was really, that went to a dark place. Yeah, Valerie the Lovely Italian, that is a good thing to remember. Doomerism doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you now. It doesn't help you in the future. It doesn't help friends or family to just sit and be sad and be bummed. What does help is if you tangibly do something. If you are able to spread the word about these things and make sure everybody else knows about it. I don't think Biden is willfully ignorant on trans issues. I think the establishment Democrats see it as a culture war and don't see it as, like, I think they don't see it as worth fighting. They think the conservatives are just making up things to be mad about. And they'll throw, you know, of course, because they're the Democrats, so they're going to have pride celebrations and they're going to throw their support behind queer candidates, but they aren't going to make a big fuss out of it. The problem is that while Democrats are like, oh, it's not a big deal, more and more conservatives, more and more people like Kai Reichik and Matt Walsh are convincing people in the middle, are radicalizing them to think that trans people are all violent psychopathic predators. And they know they're doing it. Okay. So that was my warm-up. How's everybody feeling? Let's talk about, while I'm still sick, Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida, which is not surprising, is spending taxpayer resources. This is from Stephen Greenstreet, an investigative journalist and filmmaker for the New York Post. Spending taxpayer resources to hunt for UFOs and interdimensional beings. I wouldn't call them aliens, she says. I share a Christian perspective. She's not alone. Representative Eric Burleson in Missouri, one of Luna's saucer-chasing partners in Congress, thinks UFOs could be angels, messengers of God. And Representative Tim Burchett, in Tennessee. The leader of the so-called Congressional UFO Caucus says evidence of flying saucers is in the Bible and that the literal devil is trying to stop UFO disclosure. So let's see. Representative Eric Burleson states David Grush's claims of non-human beings from another dimension aligns with God's angels. What is with these names? It's just like everybody's name, just like Brick Chinley. Everybody's name is just like Flick Gork. I can't. Republican names, man. David Grush. It's like Representative Cork Bruch. Yeah, Pink Eye Glepshadow. Representative Tim Burchett, Burleson's UFO hunting partner in Congress, also believes in biblical UFOs and recently said the devil was trying to stop UFO disclosure. Let's go. Okay. Congressional leaders like Burleson, Burchett, and Anna Paulina Luna continue their taxpayer-funded snipe hunt based on the dubious claims of crazy UFO activists and paranormal hustlers. All right, so let me go. UFOs are in the Bible, Book of Ezekiel. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so awesome. It's so awesome that we have people who are in our government who believe that. Oh, man. It's so cool. All right, let's go. Let me see if I can watch this. Make sure my audio is working. Oh, Solstice is a pretty name, Lil Awoo.
The director of the Pentagon's UFO Investigation Office recently retired, went public, and dropped some bombs. He says during his time investigating UFOs at the Pentagon with top secret access to everything, he saw no evidence of aliens flying around our skies. And he says a small group of religious UFO conspiracists have spent years duping Congress with false and deceptive stories. And that supports and validates what I've been reporting at the Post for the last 2 years. In this video, I'm going to share new exclusive comments from Sean Kirkpatrick, a scientist who for the last 18 months was the director of the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. His job was to look for UFOs and try to
that is,
out what
I will
they
say
are.
that is a banger name. The all something. I don't even remember what it was. That was a really good name.
He
I like
recently
that.
resigned from the Pentagon after discovering some unsettling information. I also have new exclusive comments from members of Congress who have also been hunting UFOs. If you want the full backstory with all the gritty details, read my big New York Post article or watch my investigative documentary. Both are linked in the description below. In December 2017, the New York Times front-paged a story about UFOs and a secret Pentagon program that investigated them. Profiled in this story was a guy named Lou Elizondo, who claimed to have run this secret program for the Pentagon for years. Elizondo went on CNN the following day to announce that we may not be alone.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
The story went viral around the world, everywhere. Hundreds, if not thousands, of headlines copied and pasted the story from the New York Times. This obviously captured the attention of Congress, who started asking questions, demanding answers. Officials at the Pentagon held top-secret briefings.
I love the idea. I love the idea of a guy going on CNN and then the next day being like, getting called into his office is like, Chuck, what the fuck did you say? It's like, I just said we might not be alone. And just throwing down, like scrolling through Twitter for them so they can see CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Fox News being like, we're definitely not alone.
with members of Congress about
New York Post, I don't think the New York Post is explicitly right-wing, but they are very anti-trans. Generally, what I've seen, a lot of the stuff that comes out of them is like they're kind of is it the Sun, like the British equivalent, where it's like a kind of a shit tabloid. Every now, yeah, shit heel coded is a good Thumb Warrior. Thumb Warrior DX is a really good way to put it. Shit heel coded. It like every now and again they do okay work. I mean, here's the thing. It's like any outlet where it's the same thing people did with Vice, where because Vice would do some shitty stuff on occasion. It's like when I used the Vice articles that looked into Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad and the Sound of Freedom and all of that stuff for the video I did debunking the Sound of Freedom. And all of the investigation work that Vice did there was phenomenal. Like, and those journalists have gone on to do other things. So it's like, you can't necessarily always look at the outlet itself, because sometimes good journalists are just going to be good journalists no matter where they're at. And also sometimes bad journalists are also going to be bad journalists.
UFOs, and a UFO task force was created. But in May 2022, I released a report at the New York Post that exposed the New York Times article as being wrong, false, erroneous, and intentionally deceptive. My report revealed that Lou Elizondo was not the head of a Pentagon UFO program, and in fact, that UFO program didn't even exist.
Thank you.
That
Another
New York Times
25
article
cents.
had been
No.
co-authored by two UFO activists. One of them in particular, Leslie Kane, would later admit that her main goal with that article wasn't necessarily to report the facts, but to give UFOs credibility. Elizondo and Kane were both intimately connected to this small group of UFO and paranormal activists, both inside and outside government. But despite the bombshells revealed in my report, 0% of the other mainstream news media covered this, asked about it, looked into it. They just continued to churn out credulous headlines about UFOs and aliens. And thus, the dominoes.
Okay. If somebody is going to donate, I need a name. Okay, here's the thing. If you're going to donate, you have to pick either a username that sounds fetishy or a sentence that sounds fetishy. You can't have both. Especially when they sound like different fetishes. You feel me? Because I'm going to read this out. And we're going to go on a journey together, chat, you and me. And we're going to go on a journey. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze really quick. Oh, I am sorry, dog. I was not yelling at you, honey. Oh, yeah, you think? B. Parker, you think it might be the feet dono? Because when I go to thank somebody for donating $2, if that person's name is Taco Face Fart, it brings up a couple questions, but I'm ready to move on. But when Taco Face Fart is super chatted $2 to say leftist feet are hotter than right-wing feet, what do you want from me? I don't... Lana Mordra, thank you for resubbing for 3 months. I really enjoyed your CPAC video. I don't know how you made it through that. I would have been so angry and nervous. I don't think I could do it. Thanks for what you do. I ate terribly. So I have a problem where when I'm under stress or pressure, food has always been a really big outlet for me, which is a problem. And I'm working on being better about food. I'm working on, thank you very much, Nightmare Taco. I'm working on getting better about food. I'm working on not resorting to food because I'm also ADHD. And so sometimes like when I'm bored, I eat and I'm not even hungry. I just eat when I'm bored. And so I'm really trying to lose weight and get in better shape. And I've been working out a lot lately. But what really got me through CPAC was like when I'm mad or stressed, I'll cheat a little bit. I'll have an extra muffin. I'll have an extra donut. The problem is when I'm at a place like CPAC, that just means that my meals just consist of muffins and donuts. So that's fun. But yeah. Yeah, Coda Anthony, I've been trying to, I have HelloFresh meals and I actually need to cook them all. But I've been getting more into HelloFresh will actually be, I should reach out to them and see if I can get a sponsorship. Because, I've been approached by a couple. I haven't done any sponsorships yet. And it's not because I'm like some principled leftist, although I am, but it's not because I want to be like, oh, I want to be, sponsorship free and advertiser independent. I would love to be that. But if somebody says, hey, do you want to give money for this? I will only do it. And I've talked about this on stream. I will only do it if it's a product I genuinely believe in, or if I think my audience can find useful. And like, I think My Fresh Basket is the only, not My Fresh Basket, sorry, that's a local grocery store. Yeah, those meals are, anyway, the meals that I buy are, very good in that way. Ugh. Yeah, sorry, my brain, I will just go. Yeah, no, Zakaria Lynn, you're so cool, thank you. No sponsorship yet, I can't believe your explosive growth. It has been really cool, but, yeah, no sponsorships yet. I've had a couple, I've had a bunch of people come into my email and be like, hey, we would like to, but if I get approached with a AI generated email, or if I can tell it's just a template and they haven't watched my content, like I don't care. Like I'm not, like that's going in the bin already. But also when it's stuff like there was like, oh, we'd like to advertise our colon cleanse. It's like my audience isn't really, like I know I have twinks in my audience, but it's not, the prune juice is not my demo. You feel me? Yeah, anyway, back to the UFOs in Congress. There are dozens of us.
In July 2022, bipartisan congressional leaders like Senators Kirsten Gillibrand and Marco Rubio helped create a new Pentagon UFO program called the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. Placed in charge of AARO was a scientist named Sean Kirkpatrick, and there were some who wondered, who is this guy? Is he part of this small group of activists? Or was he independent of this group? In March 2023, I released a lengthy article in the New York Post, again exposing this group of paranormal activists. I found new documented evidence, dug up more leads, connected more dots. And what I discovered was that some of these activists inside government had missed foreign spycraft.
Suffix, is BS alien talk a regular thing in this community? No. This is probably the first time I've talked about alien stuff, isn't it? I feel yeah, I guess we don't really cover paranormal stuff that often, do we? I'm trying to think if we've covered anything paranormal, really. No, the closest thing we've probably covered has been, because this ties into, we cover a lot of conspiracy stuff. And this, ties into conspiracy stuff at that level. It's like the Venn diagram between conspiracy and paranormal. And this is more of the stuff that I grew up with, like the conspiracy stuff I grew up with. But yeah, no, we've talked about Satanism and occultism and conspiracies around Freemasonism and predictive programming. So stuff that's vaguely adjacent, but no, not we don't really do. Yeah, the Subnautica, the guy who said Spider-Man shapes were predictive programming, and the guy who said the Lego movie was satanic messaging to take over our brains. Those were pretty top notch. Oh, thank you very much, Suffix. Really appreciated your coverage of Nex and Aaron on your stream. Yeah, that was that was the first stream I did coming back after CPAC, and I don't know, those were also things that I had to kind of bury deep down and not really react to as much as I would like, aside from yelling at Haya Reichik on Twitter, which I'm honestly surprised that Haya Reichik hasn't like retweeted me and called me out. I think I'm too mean for her. Because usually she doesn't have a problem if somebody gets on her ass too much about like signaling them out for her audience to go after, which I don't fucking care. I'll take on the libs of TikTok audience. They do not scare me. But like she just hasn't, which I think is weird. One day, my day will come one day. I got retweeted by Matt Walsh, and that was my favorite. Because like the second I get quote tweeted and retweeted, oh, that's the moneymaker. That's when I go, and this is another reason why you don't have Twitter Blue, is I go and change my username. I think it'll be Haya Reichik. What should it be? Haya Reichik kills kids. I think that's a good one. Yeah, that would be pretty good. I did the one I did, and it was on my last account. It wasn't on my dead domain account, and so I think it's not. I don't know if you can find, maybe in the Wayback Machine, but I don't know if you can find it. Maybe on Matt Walsh's page. But he quote tweeted me, and I retweeted him saying Matt Walsh protects pedophiles. Or no, I changed my username to Matt Walsh protects pedophiles, and he had that retweeted for a good while, and that's like that. I'll always pull that troll. That's just classic. Like, that's too good. Anyway.
Over American skies for years because they were instead chasing spooky UFOs. They thought what they were seeing was something otherworldly, when in fact, we now know some of these objects were foreign spycraft. In the wake of the big Chinese spy balloon story, this was a huge revelation, a huge bombshell. But again, the mainstream news media, other than one reporter at the Washington Examiner, doesn't cover it, doesn't pick it up, doesn't ask about it, doesn't look into it. They just keep churning out more and more credulous stories about UFOs. A new piece to all of this that I revealed is how the UFO story is directly connected to a spooky property in Utah called Skinwalker Ranch, which for years has been claimed to be home to UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, monsters of all types. I went out to Skinwalker Ranch and debunked it. There's nothing there. I connected the dots. I put names to faces and was able to create this family tree of sorts.
If you're going in the middle of the day. Like, what do you... Yeah, I went to Skinwalker Ranch and debunked it. Yeah, because you weren't there when all the spookies were about. What are you doing?
These activists who, for years, and in some cases decades, have been telling the same...
Ron Wood, I saw part of your first video clipped and shown the speech about saying the quiet part out loud. It was taken from the same viewpoint as yours, so is it you or someone standing beside you? What? Hey, no, that dog. This dog is chewing up one of my scrunchies. Abby just bought those for me, you butthead. I thought you were chewing on a toy, dingus. Naughty, bad dog.
Tall tales in order to get taxpayer money to investigate the paranormal. Again, no one else covers this. No one else picks this up. In June 2023, a U.S. Air Force reservist named David Grush went public, claiming that the government is in possession of alien spacecraft and alien bodies.
No kidding, non-human, exotic origin, vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
Of course, he says he's never actually seen the aliens himself. He just heard about the aliens from a certain group of people that he trusts. Do you want to guess who this group is? Yes, Grush is friends with, associates of, and close to many of the same people from this same group of paranormal activists. The same group of people who have been doing this for years now. Lou Elizondo, whose claims I've debunked. Jay Stratton, former Pentagon official / Skinwalker Ranch ghost hunter. Travis Taylor.
Oh, that's a bad look. That's a bad look. Like, You can't show up to something called Alien Con. Yeah, Suffix, you can see the dog. Do you want to come up and say hi? Do you want to come up and say hi? Come on. Uppies. Uppies. No, no, I did not. She just grabs the scrunchie. Come on. Up. Come on. Ups. 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 Here, do we want to... Come on. Up. Yes, there's my girl. There's my pretty girl. Yims. She say, okay, back. I go back down. Where's your ball? Do you have your ball? Go get ball. Ball. Where's ball? Ball. Go get ball. Where's your ball, silly? Go get your ball. Okay. It's too bad I don't have low cut because my... Is that allowed on Twitch? Sorry. Heaving, but I have many things. A heaving bosom is not one of them. All right, let's. Okay. All right, that'll have to work. Oh, black lady named Marcy. Oh, no. Marcy. Most precious little goofball. Hello. Oh, now you want to get up here. Now you want to get... See, now dog wants to be... No, okay, now you don't? All right, never mind. Fine. You've lost your chance to be a star of the show. You're out of the... You're out of it.
Former Pentagon official, the star of the Skinwalker Ranch show on the History Channel. George Knapp, merchant of all things spooky. Jeremy Corbell, a UFO celebrity who's been caught many times promoting fake and false UFO stories. And the
Marceline,
article
the vampire
David
queen.
Rush and his claims to the world was written by the same exact UFO activist that co-authored the false, erroneous, deceptive 2017 New York Times story. Leslie Kane, Ralph Blumenthal. The media, of course, eats all of this up. They headline all of Grush's claims. His story goes viral. It's just an alien and UFO fest. And no one is diving into Grush's association with these dubious characters, this group of activists. Well, except for me at the Post. Which is just crazy because it wasn't like these people were being private and secretive about their association with Grush. Lou Elizondo tweeted that Grush was a close associate and a friend. Eric Davis, former Skinwalker Ranch ghost hunter, was on Facebook saying how he and Grush had known each other for years. Grush had appeared in public at UFO conventions with the likes of Jay Stratton, Travis Taylor, George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell. It's all right there in front of you, to anyone who looks, but no one was looking. The next month, July 2023, David Grush testifies before Congress about the aliens. And again, he says, my testimony isn't based on something that I have seen or witnessed myself.
My testimony is based on information I've been given by individuals.
My testimony is based on information I was given from a group of people, the same group of people, some of whom were literally sitting right behind him. Of course, Congress isn't aware of all of this. They still think the 2017 New York Times article is legit, is accurate.
A groundbreaking 2017 New York Times report. Leslie Kane from New York Times.
Hey, dog.
And I would encourage everybody
Hey,
to read
dog.
it.
They apparently don't know about this group. They apparently don't know about
Where's
these
your ball?
relationships and
Go
that
get
all
your
of
ball.
this has been going on. And so Congress
Ball.
continues to move forward, looking into David Grush's allegations, because they think maybe the aliens are there. Also in July, Senator Chuck Schumer submitted to Congress new proposed legislation about UFOs. Schumer's far-reaching 64-page proposed legislation included mentions of flying saucers, non-human intelligence, and provided the federal government with new eminent domain powers that would allow them to acquire potential alien spacecraft and alien bodies. Well, guess who reportedly helped Schumer write this new legislation? The legislation was drafted with input from Jay Stratton, Travis Taylor, Luis Elizondo. The most involved with the drafting was David Grush.
God, this is
the same people.
Bonkers. Okay, so I think I've had enough of that one. But I do want to... I would call them aliens is such a wild thing to say. On June 3rd, in an interview with former Trump campaign manager Steve Bannon, Burchett reiterated his belief that the Bible offers evidence of flying saucers. Saucers. All right, I do want to see this. Watch the full interview. Mega Squirrel, thank you very much for subscribing. What about Snake from MGS? Wait, who's saying something about Snake from MGS? Aw, thank you, Vicky Vileblood. Love the CPAC vid, great work. I hope you look forward to part 2. Alright, let's go. Oh, is there... I don't want to watch the whole thing. Do we got some timestamps? Nope, no timestamps. Thank Anna Luna for having the balls to get the truth about UFO disclosure. Okay, well...
We have the ability at our disposal tools to find terrorists in... I have family that are from other countries and then also working on getting into medical schools.
Today we're interviewing Representative or Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. Hey guys, so I'm super excited for today's podcast interview. It's going to be with Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. She's in the 13th district.
This is what happens when you don't cook with sauce, by the way.
Podcast is mainly about business.
This is there's no sauce
sales,
here.
Finance, all these different things. But public office, politics,
that's a nice argument, Senator. Can you back it up with a source?
Especially for every one of you.
My source is I made it the fuck up.
And I know most of the times when you hear an interview, you typically it's going to be very polarizing, very far right,
let's get to the
left.
yeah, whatever.
I have family that are from other countries, and so for me, here I am.
Hello, all
American-born,
Patrick.
But I'm Hispanic and Mexican, and then also too, my grandparents were immigrants, so I'm not looking at this like from a xenophobic or racist or a sexist perspective here, but I do agree with border security. And ultimately, I ended up turning down a medical school program that I got into, ended up joining a grassroots conservative activism organization, and then realized that I couldn't just commentate on these issues. If I really wanted to make a difference, I had to run for office. So I did what any good millennial would do. I made a video, talked about it, but then I also figured out the process of running and ended up losing my first election.
Renaru, can I record audio for books? If somebody wants me to. I don't see why not. I could.
But winning the second, and now I'm serving in the 118th.
I am not fleeing the country. I don't. That seems like a lot of work.
So obviously, you had a passion for policy and making changes.
Would I consider Solid Snake? I'd consider Naked Snake as. I think they're broadly both anti-fascist, but I think Naked Snake is the most radical and anti-imperial. No, Makuta LaRocca, I've actually wanted to do a Raiden cosplay. I want to do Metal Gear Solid 2 Raiden, but the skull suit is. Like, there's surprisingly, like, it's not too surprising, but like the skull suit, there aren't any good, like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera again after putting it on dog. There aren't any good, like, skull suit cosplays out there. Or no, there are great ones out there, but there's no, like, bodysuit I can just buy. I would have to make one, and there are some really great ones, but yeah, it would take, like, I would probably have to get a diving skin suit or something similar, and then figure out how to, I would have to sew probably panels onto it of just like a harder fabric, something like canvas for like the patches that he has. And then there's when you actually look at the Metal Gear Solid 2 Raiden outfit,
it looks very simple, but it's actually very, very detailed. And so I would love to do a cosplay like that at some point, but I would probably have to commission it, and I would need to be making more money than now, because I just don't have like the time to really dedicate to that. But I would love to so much, because I really love Raiden and Metal Gear Solid 2.
Look like behind the
I would love to do a Raiden cosplay.
So it's incredibly hard. I'm not someone that comes from a significant amount of family wealth, and I wasn't independently wealthy going into this position, nor am I still independently wealthy. So I'm not insider trading here. You can,
you're not copying Pelosi's trades.
I'm not doing stock trading. But what I can tell you is that in my second race, because I did not win the first one, but I put a heavy emphasis on grassroots activism on the second race.
Hi, Logan MC.
Volunteers and my staff. I knocked 50,000 doors, and I made over 90,000 phone calls in a very short window of time. So I was door knocking 6 hours a day. People think that when you run for office, people don't have to do that. You absolutely
Renaru, I have. That's
are going to vote for you.
Renaru. That's the fun part of doing cosplay, like as a hobby, is I just have costumes now.
So I was talking about that.
So
like in my closet right now, if somebody was like, oh my gosh, I'm having a costume party, I'm like, okay, do you want me to go as a Femboy Hooters server? Do you want me to go as a Femboy Nun? Do you want me to go as Cloud Strife? Do you want me to go as She-Ra? Do you want me to go as 80s Rogue or Modern Rogue? Do you want me to go as Double Trouble? Do you want me to go as... I know I have other ones back there. I have She-Ra, Double Trouble, Morrigan from Darkstalkers. And I want to do another one I want to do this year is Nurse Morrigan, because I have the wig and I have the bat ears and everything. And so I need just like get a sexy nurse outfit, and I can do a Nurse Morrigan.
When they're attacking you, okay, so and also not only this, what was the difference between the first time you ran, which was like 2020?
Yeah, in 2020.
And the second time was 2022. What do you think swung that for you to end up, obviously winning?
So
was
much.
It just people, obviously COVID, everyone moving to Florida. Was it your name was now out there? Or was it...
Sounds like there should be a Patreon plug in here somewhere. Well, I don't really post my cosplay to Patreon anymore. I posted my I have my Gerudo link too. I guess I posted I think it was my Camp Crystal Lake Counselor, which was a set I did not like. I did not like how my body looked in that. I still don't like those pictures. Or I think I posted some of my Double Trouble cosplay to Patreon, but I don't think it got any, because it's all safe for work. And so my talk about face fart, you're totally fine. I was just joking. It's all in good fun. I appreciate it very much. Because I make photo sets that are NSFW for my OnlyFans, the people who come to my Patreon, I don't think are necessarily looking for that. So it's a weird thing, but I also don't have I don't have enough there to justify making an entirely separate Patreon, because I only do my OnlyFans, since I've pared it back and made it a lot more just like kind of softcore, boudoir, just like chill. Patrick, would you ban Lightning Guy if you're still in the chat? Just softcore, boudoir, chill, and it's not really even nude or anything, but I also do it only when I have the time, which is once in a blue moon. So I'll take some pictures and then I'll upload them over time, but it's very staggered. So yeah. My next one, another reason why I've been working out so much and my biceps are looking so good is because I've been lifting almost every day, because I'm trying to get in my shape for my Cloud Strife cosplay. So I can take proper pictures. Yeah, Lightning Guy is back on YouTube.
Experience, what it was like with the opposite. What do you think it was?
So it was multifaceted. The first time that I ran, I was not the chosen pick of the Republican Party. In fact, the party was working against me, and I still beat.
What did
their
I
candidate.
do?
Representative Bates actually came in to
Don't
support
fucking
me.
play
I still beat
stupid
their
with
candidate,
me.
and then I was a no-name candidate, and they didn't help me in the general election. So I actually brought the close. I was supposed to lose the race by 15 points, and I lost by a little over 5. And so that was being completely off television, almost having no money. So they realized at that point that Florida's 13th district could swing basically and flip. And then so the following year, I became the nominee pick. I had the name ID. I had the funding. I knew what exactly to do. And actually, I think that this is kind of interesting because I took this lesson from the Art of War war, and that you never want to let your enemies know what you're up to. So I actually started door knocking in what I anticipated the new district to look like about 10 months prior, and I just quietly was working the entire time, and then ultimately brought home that win in the primary and the general.
Persistence pays.
100%.
So walk me through, okay, so you're on the Oversight Committee.
Investigations, yes.
Investigations, yeah. What is that
Just saying
like?
what needs to be said. Fuck off, dude.
What are some of the things that you're coming across right now?
I've seen some very scary stuff being on oversight. So when I first got elected, your committee assignments kind of determine what legislation and also what you're going to be doing on behalf of the U.S. government. So my job in particular is not only am I an investigator, but also I'm a messenger and presenting that evidence to the American people. And so what we've been able to see, whether or not it's in a skiff or dealing with different government agencies, has been alarming because you realize, look, politicians don't have the best reputation. Again, I was joking earlier about insider trading, but it's a thing.
Right,
and then
I want to get to the juicy stuff. Where's the UFOs?
Calls. It's not a large number, right? So you get up here and then you immediately vote on leadership, but there's a lot that. First of all, relationships building. So can you articulate and share your message to get other people to agree with you? And then also does it make sense? So
I know that guy.
Act that every Congress does.
Yeah, for those who don't know, he's on his about, God, what is it, 6th or 7th account has to be? It's got to be up to 7 or 8 now because I keep banning him. But he spent months and months just commenting a black guy, a cloud, and a lightning bolt on my feed.
Able to get some amendments on that. An amendment would be your suggestion to a bill that's already written.
Just started spamming my streams with it when I started streaming to YouTube.
I also censored Adam Schiff. So Adam Schiff was head of the intelligence
when asked about it,
years ago,
what he is doing is he is evoking the low tier God kill myself
member of Congress, I was told that it could be done. I knew that I could do it because I cleared it with my legal
counsel and
which
is like
rules, and that was a successful censure. So I think it depends on how
it doesn't fucking bother me
and they do nothing. They go to the White House,
to have somebody tell me to kill myself. Like it takes a lot more than that to irk me on the internet. It is, however, annoying how much he continues to spam it. Oh yeah, you're right. Transcript, thank you.
Much less anywhere. I mean, you knocked 50,000 doors, you made it happen, you had the odds stacked against you. What does it take to be successful, and what are those traits that you've seen from other people who have been really successful?
I think that when you articulate your message, I think confidence carries.
All right, let's go. Constitutional Congress. Did you literally just put it in the title because she mentions it like at the end? Ugh. Okay, here we go. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this.
Good call on the transcript.
You've heard about the
Yeah.
So what? Okay, tell us about that.
So I got Men in Blacked. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "That's crazy," but ultimately, what happened is, being a member of Oversight, we follow up with whistleblowers, and we also can conduct our own investigation. So myself, Representative Burchett from Tennessee, and Representative Gates were on a small trip to the Panhandle because a whistleblower came forward from Eglin Air Force Base pilots to Representative Gates' office saying that the Air Force was essentially covering up.
Great company.
So we
Solar Lander, thank you for resubbing for
we got it back on
3 months in a row.
We got
Goodness gracious.
The base commander tried to basically tell us that we didn't have authorized clearance to look into and speak to some of the witnesses, of which he don't.
Yeah, streamer awards is something I'm not like. I realized I just finally got to this part, but people are talking about streamer awards in the chat. Streamer awards is not something I'm necessarily interested in, but because I've reached this weird point where I'm not small anymore. Like there are channels that I watched for years that are smaller than me now, which is very surreal, very, very weird feeling. But I'm also not big enough where it's like an obligation that, yeah, I should probably go to TwitchCon or VidCon or whatever. But I don't know if it would be like, would it behoove me to go there? Would it serve me well to do networking and such? I have no idea. Logan Mansion Games, did you say Mario, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Link, Dr. Gordon Freeman, and Sonic the Hedgehog are all anti-fascist icons? I would say Sonic the Hedgehog, certainly. Especially the Julio White version where he's an underground freedom fighter. Yoshi is a pawn of the state. is a tool of the capitalist regime, and Mario is his handler, who will quite literally throw him to death to get his way. Donkey Kong. No, Donkey Kong, capitalist. Where's the tie to work? He's a slave to the grind. Link, gay icon, twink, gets passed around like a blunt in Gerudo camps. So we stand that as a socialist, if ever one there was. Dr. Gordon Freeman, whistleblower, Assange coded. No. Snowden coded. No. Who's a whistleblower who didn't turn out to be a dickhead? Gordon Freeman. Yeah, Yoshi, also known for committing tax fraud. Chelsea, there we go. That's who I'm looking for. Man.
So
I'm like, God, it's on the tip of my tongue. There's a whistleblower who's not a total piece of shit. It's the trans one. Duh.
Kind of had it out with the base commander, which is kind of funny because this guy really thought that he had it going on, and he actually, in the middle of our meeting, he took off on leave, which never happens with a delegation going to military base. But then also too, we had pretty sure people from the agency that were there as well, and so you really don't find that. I've worked at Hurlburt Field. I worked in the military for a number of years, and so why would a intelligence agency need to be there on a meeting for whistleblowers? So that happened. I can tell you, based on my investigations, not in a classified setting, that I absolutely believe that there is things that are advanced technologies not of human origin. And then we conducted the interview with David Grush. As you saw, it was one of the most widely attended congressional hearings in U.S. history.
Snowden's not as bad as fucking
because you're hearing about people that have potentially been murdered and
Assange.
up this information, and it was very interesting. So I advise everyone to watch it.
Yeah, was it, so based off of what, have you received classified information or just what they said?
No, yeah, we've, but I can't talk about
Of
that.
course you can't talk about it. So what did you, before you came to Congress, did you think aliens were real?
So I wouldn't call them aliens. I really like what Grush calls them. He says that they're interdimensional beings, and he's very specific about that.
What does that mean?
I think it means that they're not necessarily a biological entity from another planet per se.
Interesting.
What I will say is, I share a Christian perspective on many things, and what's been interesting about this is the amount of stigma that existed previously to this cycle, but we have such a bipartisan push for transparency on this topic that they can't necessarily hide it. It has been interesting to see the levels of things that come up. Oh, there's no authorized clearance, you don't have to read an authority for this, that, and the other. Well, if Congress is writing the bills to fund these programs that we don't have authorized access and oversight into it, then that's not necessarily something that happens in a free country, right? So we continue to push, but I mean, it's been very interesting to see some of the stuff that's come up.
Was it before you learned it? Did you
This is a sitting representative who's just like, we call them interdimensional beings, and I share a biblical perspective on this thing that I've never seen, and we have no real reason to think exists. Oh my god. Like, interdimensional beings is some, like, if you ever watch Ghostbusters, it's like a Phase 4 free-floating apparition. It's just making up nuance to fake shit, which I love. That's how good lore is made. I talk about that at the beginning of the anti-Semitism essay, is that, like, the cornerstone of a good conspiracy, and I say good in parentheticals, but the cornerstone of a conspiracy that is going to last is good lore, because people want detail. Like, you look at all the best, like, go deep into some weird conspiracy holes. The best ones, the ones talking about Atlantis and, starseeds. Like, if you ever go off into starseed territory, the lore gets so dense, and because it's dense, it's impenetrable. Like, that's probably one of the things that people mistake very often, is what makes conspiracies so alluring to people, is that you can't prove them wrong because they are operating on a entirely different frequency. They're operating on their own self-contained rules. And that's partially like a protective mechanism, but it's also to reel more people in, because that's the stuff they like about conspiracies and stories.
think it was going to be completely different than what what you learned? Was it
No,
really
I
hard?
had some suspicions leading up into it. You know, when I was stationed at Portland Air Guard Unit a number of years ago, I remember there was a incident that occurred, and the pilots kind of came back and asked one of them what he thought it was, and he couldn't really talk about it. And he didn't want to, because the stigma that the military has is that you're crazy, right? But we're seeing that with especially technology that we have.
Yep,
and, you know,
spirit
for
science,
example,
Angry
for
Goose
things,
spirit
and
science
it's
is another one.
classified. So, you know, I kind of knew about it. I knew that that was a thing within the military, and that people were kind of worried about.
Well, B. Parker, the Atlantis being stuffed with white supremacy stuff, that is all from Nazi shit. That's, well, Thule and Nazi shit. That's like retroactive in weird ways, which if you've ever never done research on that stuff, like just the history of how occultism passed through, because I know like it's very fun to look at pulp stuff and be like, oh, all these Nazis were crazy occultists, and, you know, like Wolfenstein and stuff like that. And it's not actually true, although they did do dumb shit like that. Oh, hello. Is dog on? Dog wants to say hi. Hello. Dog says hello. What are you sniffing? Hello. That was adorable. Do you want to come back up again and say hi? You want to come back up, say hi? Come on up. Uppies. Where's your ball? I threw your ball for you. You're such a goofball. Let's go with that one. Okay. All right. This is unsurprising but dumb, but I've had enough of this lady. So, let's go to, what else do we got here? Let's go to the Katt Williams thing. That'll be a fun one to go through. I'm gonna go get a new tissue and put on some tea real quick. Okay. This is the one that went around from what looks like a shitty troll meme account. Katt Williams blows Joe Rogan's mind after he suggests that transgenderism originates from the demon Baphomet and that Hollywood has been pushing us towards these occult themes for decades. Let's look up Baphomet origins. The Templars were accused of worshipping that was later embraced by various occult and mystical writers. The first mention of Baphomet was in a letter written in 1098 by Anselm of Ribermont, describing the siege of Antioch during the First Crusade. Anselm noted that the Turks called loudly upon Baphomet. Most scholars believe that the word refers to Muhammad, the founder of Islam. So they just misheard a term, and a sexy demon was born. They were fucked up. It was just a mistake. Cool. Rad. Anyway, let's hear what Katt Williams says about the history of Baphomet. Baphomet. Okay, and I gotta hear this. I can't read it. I want to hear it.
Propaganda in Hollywood movies is built into the ingredients list.
Now, first off, talking about propaganda in Hollywood movies is already a massive red flag because you're basically a hop skipping away from predictive programming. And here's the thing that they never complain about. They never complain about, like I was talking about earlier, being pro-military intervention, us going and bombing the fuck out of other countries and colonialism and all that stuff. They never complain about that stuff. They never complain about, needing U.S. approval for how the military gets depicted. But they talk about, a trans person made a movie, or this movie has a trans person, so they're pushing something. They're socially engineering it. Which, like, again, it's the things, it's like Schrodinger's conspiracy, where it's like, no, it's not the things that I agree with. Kobold, it's just culinary Bolshevism again. Cultural Bolshevism. Good God, my brain is going. Culinary, what the I'm thinking about food.
If you want flour, you need wheat. You're going to have to get the wheat. And if you want to be able to make movies about certain subjects, you have to be willing to work with some people. That, it'd be nice if you made it so that this is what we're trying to accomplish. And this is showing the negative side of this other society. And this is...
So I think he's trying to get at DEI and diversity claims, but again, totally missing the fact that that is literally what happens. Literally what happens if you have military anything. If you need to license or use military gear or vehicles, the U.S. State Department will look over your fucking script, dude. They do it with all the Marvel movies. Like, this does happen, not in the way he's going to try and make it sound. What he is talking about are probably diversity efforts from corporate mandates on down, saying, hey, we want to hit our diversity quotas and we want to be able to have, which, again, I've talked about this before. It is so much more cynical. It is both less sinister and more cynical than what people like to talk about when you talk about diversity efforts, because it's about a bottom line. When people, when companies are like, okay, we want to make this many shows with a black lead in the next year, and these, stuff like this happens in internal memos. What companies are doing, like this trickles on down to actual creatives. People actually making good art. Atlanta from Donald Glover is a great example. A great show I fucking loved on Hulu that I think got canceled. Unfortunately, it was made during the pandemic. Was Woke. Fucking love Woke. Great show. The guy who plays Winston in New Girl is in it, and it has just really kick-ass art design. Great show. If you haven't watched Woke, I think it's still on Hulu. Go check it out. Another one that I really love that I need to watch the finale of is Sort of. Sort of is, for all of my NBs out there, Sort of is one of the best shows of the last couple years on HBO Max that does not get any love, does not get any play. And shows like Woke and Sort of, which are extremely political, very well acted, well written, well made, they don't get the push that a lot of other more secure shows might. Things like Euphoria, which they know, Euphoria is based on a template. Euphoria is something that is based on other shows. It is based in the mold of something like Skins, and other shows like that. So it has trans rep, it has diversity to it. And at the end of the day, when these corporate mandates go out from the top down, right? The people at the top who are saying, hey, let's have 5 black-led shows. Let's have, let's have a show, or let's approve this show from a non-binary showrunner. They are not doing it. The people at the very top are not doing it out of policy. They are not doing it out of their personal feelings. They are doing it for a bottom line. They are doing it so that they can write off giving charity to LGBTQ people, so that at the end of the year earning reports, they can tell shareholders, oh yeah, and we made these efforts for diversity, and this is why our company is good. They are doing it so that when Pride Month or Black History Month rolls around, and here's something people fucking overlook, but this is important to marketing in a streaming economy. They do it so they have content, and this isn't, again, tons of reasons, but it all goes into this. It all goes into a bottom line. So that when Black History Month, when Pride Month, when Women's History Month rolls around, they have proprietary content that you can only get there. That if you, be a white person, black person, gay person, whatever you're feeling, you're like, okay, I want to be an ally. Or, you know what, I'm feeling Pride Month. I want to watch some gay shit. They have it, and you can go on to HBO Max, go on to Netflix, go on to Hulu, and they'll have a section. It'll always be something like Black Voices, Pride Voices. It's always voices for some goddamn reason. Women's Voices. And that's not to say, because people like Joe Rogan, again, this is a more complicated issue than conservatives want to talk about. It's more nuanced than they want to talk about. Because up until this point, if you look at along the line of a show like this getting made, a show like Woke getting made, sort of, or Euphoria getting made, these are all the money choices that get made. These are all the things that you have a bunch of people in back rooms writing up, okay, how much is each episode going to cost versus how much are we going to make in return versus how much rewatch time is it going to get if we put it in a Pride thing. Like there's endless amounts of algorithms and graphs and charts and people just looking at this shit and studying it all day and saying, what is the most we can get out of this? What does this gain us? And it gets them money. Now, you get all the way through that, and then you get to the point where it actually gets made. And here's the point of real human interaction. Here's the thing that we're dangerously close to losing. I had a whole talk on AI a couple weeks ago and how fucked up like the future of AI is going to be for entertainment. But when you get that human interaction, that is when you are actually telling real human stories. And that's the thing that people like Joe Rogan completely miss, is because they want to depict all of these efforts for diversity as hollow and fake. And some of them are. Like, I want to be clear. I think, for example, the Disney movies, most Disney movies, most mainstream Disney movies. If Disney makes a movie and they say, oh, we have a gay character, and it's 2 seconds that they can cut out and send to China, I'm sorry, I'm not taking that seriously as gay representation. The people who made it may be proud of it, may be proud of making it, but that is not real gay representation. That's not what I'm talking about here. Like, so there are cynical ways that manifests. But on the other side, on the other side, you get things like Sort Of. You get things like Woke. You get things like Donald Glover's Atlanta, which are authentic and good and well written. And, you know, Atlanta got really good word of mouth, but like a lot of those shows, they don't get the word of mouth. They don't get the platform that, like I was saying, things like big shows like Euphoria do, because they know that Euphoria will do well on its own. Like I said, it's made in a template. So yes, there is a concerted effort to add diversity for a bottom line, because guess what? When you have this streaming economy that appeals to so many people, it's just like video games. It's like when you have these products that are meant to appeal to so many people, it does you no fucking good to bury your head in the sand and act like there's just one kind of protagonist. Act like white people are the only one who plays video games anymore. Like it doesn't accomplish anything for your bottom line as a business. It doesn't gain you anything to take that on, especially like if you're trying to do it as like a principled stance of like you're standing up for wokeness and just doing a gay or doing a straight man character. It's like, That doesn't gain you anything. What gains you something is having characters in there, and I talked about this in the Spider-Man video, is like, what is the problem with having diversity? If you don't have a problem with gay people, like a lot of these people claim, if you don't have a problem with black people, then what is the problem with having somebody else see themselves represented in something? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And a lot of people will try and be like, oh, you know, it's for diversity, it's forced. It's not really that forced. Like, the reason why these things, here's the entire game plan. I'm spelling it all out for you. I'm ruining the Illuminati predictive programming plan here. The reason why so many things are being made so diverse is because the audience that buys them is more diverse than ever. That's it. Is it rainbow capitalism? Yes. At the same time, you can actually still allow for good creatives with strong messages to tell their stories in that space. Jordan Peele is a phenomenal example. Jordan Peele kicked off an entire movement that is still going of black filmmakers in horror. When everyone was like, oh my God, like, this dude is making a horror movie? The Key and Peele guy is making a horror movie? And then they saw Get Out and they were like, I get it. Fuck. Like, holy shit. And here's the thing. While Get Out is a phenomenal film, you have to think of, again, why is there a bunch of movies following it? Why did Nia DaCosta get to do Candyman, which was produced by Jordan Peele? Why is Jordan Peele producing Dev Patel's new movie, Monkey Man? And Dev Patel, not black, he's, Southeast Asian, so that's a different thing. But it is still a non-white director getting a creative role. And the reason isn't because the executives at the top of Blumhouse or whoever saw Get Out and were like, oh my God, I've got to pay reparations. Let's make all these black movies. No. The reason is that Get Out made a shit ton of money because it was good. And when something makes money, the people at the top are like, okay, do that again. We don't know what you did necessarily. At a creative level, they can look at Jordan Peele and be like, we don't know like what your process was. But you just keep doing you. And then we, as the capitalists in the equation, we're going to get a bunch of other people to also try and do, not you, but like kind of do that thing. In a vague sense. And so you had movies that weren't as good at it. Like you had, it was a movie that came out a couple years ago, Antebellum. That was one that was really kind of treading that same, like very much seemed like that same line. One movie I still want to see, I've been meaning to sit down and watch it, The Blackening, like looks really great. And that is an explicitly black-focused horror comedy. And so it's like, that's what I think of. I think of Get Out whenever talks like this come up. It's like, you can have something that is, because everybody, the other half of this conversation, and I realize I've rambled about this for a while, the other half of this conversation that everybody likes to have is that, oh, it can't be good art because it's forced diversity. And that's not true. Because the same people saying, like I've been talking about here, same people at the top of the power pyramid, the same people saying, yes, go greenlight 10 movies from black people. Go get us 10 more Nopes and Get Outs and Us's. Go keep doing that. Those are not the same people who are actually making the movies. Like that's just the fact. So, like literally anything else, and here's you want a great example of this, look to superhero movies. Look to the biggest top earning films, and we looked at this previously because it all goes back to the like go woke, go broke thing. Like, no. Yeah, there are going to be examples of that. Like, Madam Web is a pretty good example. But compare the creative processes of something like Madam Web to Across the Spider-Verse. Came out same year, both Spider People focused, both superhero movies. Vastly different creative processes. The Spider-Verse development process was apparently hellish. And I don't doubt I would be so fascinated to know the story behind Madam Web, because I personally just like watching that movie. I was like, okay, this is where, like, I could practically, as the editor in me, could practically feel where that movie was chopped and screwed. I mean, Patrick W. Dune, Madam Web is woke by nature of having 4 female main characters. Like to this contingent, that is wokeness. It's like all the main characters are women. But like, if you compare that to Across the Spider-Verse, where all the main character is black. The second main character is Gwen, a woman. Like, the entire cast, you have Indian Spider-Man, you have Spider-Punk, who's black, you have Miguel O'Hara, who's Latino, you have Jess Drew, who in this movie is black and pregnant and a woman. Incredibly woke, but a better film. Because the creatives behind it, like, you had Lord and Miller. Like, you have hit makers behind the Spider-Verse movies. Like, guys who don't fucking miss. Which, like, I guarantee Kathleen Kennedy, every night she goes to bed being like, oh, fuck, man. I should have just let them make the Han Solo movie they wanted. Mockingbird, I know you saved Kenobi by editing it and making it more succinct. The question is Madam Web savable? You know, I hadn't even considered that. How long is Madam Web? Because I would still want it to be a reasonable length. Yeah, I could probably cut that down to 120 and have it be a better movie, honestly. Like, there, If they let me, if I could see the B-roll, if I could see the stuff that didn't make it in the movie, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, alternate takes, I could probably, like, honestly, because here's the thing about Madam Web that really frustrated me. There are parts of that movie, like, okay, I'm gonna tell you, for people who don't know, because everybody's seen, like, trailers for Madam Web, but let me tell you what I guarantee at some point the pitch was for this movie. Because somebody in a boardroom was like, at one point, somebody in a boardroom was like, does anybody really give a fuck about Madam Web? Like, we have this C-tier character, like, is anybody gonna care about this? And one brave motherfucker stood up, and I guarantee you, this is what they pitched. They said, okay, picture this. The movie that we're gonna make is gonna be the Terminator, but if the robot had the powers of Spider-Man. And the entire thing is a stalker thriller about 4 people without superpowers except one of them. So it's like one of them can kind of see the future. So it's like Final Destination meets Terminator with Spider-Man. And that's the pitch. Because I guarantee you, before the movie got chopped and screwed to hell, that was the original movie. Yeah, exactly. Nerd with a Suit sounds friggin' awesome. Like, and here's the thing, there are parts in the movie that were, and it's why I feel like there were reshoots with like an entirely different director, because the action scenes, like the end scene, the end final battle, and the flashback like fight scenes where everybody's in their spider suits, the reason I think those were completely added in, like either late in development or in post, the CG, way worse than the rest of the movie. Like, the movie doesn't have amazing CG, but like there's some stuff in there Like, it has these like trippy like mental effects, and it's like, okay, this looks fine. And then some of the CG in those scenes is like dog shit, like unbelievably bad. The other half is that the choreography and the fighting is so markedly worse than every other action scene. Because there are scenes in that movie, like the first scene, the bad guy shows up, all the girls are on the train platform, and they start running, and the cops are trying to get this guy, and it suddenly turns into a fucking horror movie. Like, this silent Spider-Man looking figure is slipping into the shadows, Batmaning his way through all of these cops, throwing him onto subway tracks, throwing him into the ceiling, slipping out from under things, jumping back up into the rafters. And it's like at that moment, I was like, fuck. Like, okay, I'm in. Like, if the movie is this, what if Spider-Man was a slasher villain and the main character has the power of Final Destination? Let's fucking go. And then they pepper in all of these things, because what it really felt like with that movie is that it got press screenings or got preview screenings, and everybody was like, where's Spider-Man? We need more Spider-Man stuff. And they're like, well, fuck, we can't put a Spider-Man in there, so put 3 kind of Spider-Girls in there and just sprinkle them through in bullshit flashback sequences and add a plot line in the Amazon rainforest, and that's what we got. That's the movie we can do. And yeah, other than that, there's supposed to be some sort of Spider-Man prequel for a while. Yeah, it can't. It's kind of the ways in which it is a Spider-Man prequel are bizarre and labyrinthine. It's a fascinating fucking movie. Oh god. If nothing else about Madam Web, like when I watched Morbius and I was finished with Morbius, I was like, oh, they just made a bad movie. Like, that was just a bad movie. Like, there's nothing in that I hadn't seen before. The thing that made me mad about Madam Web is that it had so much promise to deliver on this kind of like, because that's the thing that pisses me off about the Sony movies. I call it the Venom Morbiverse. That's what pisses me off about the Venom Morbiverse, is that it's been dancing around. Everyone has been dancing around being a horror movie in some aspect or another, but with like a superhero flavor, which is something I love. That idea. I fucking loved, like, if anybody has seen Brightburn. Loved Brightburn. Brightburn is basically just evil Superman. Don't care. Awesome. Love it. And then, like, it was the closest I came to seeing how good that vision could actually be. Like, they had the pieces there. And then, honestly, the other thing is that the personalities of the characters, the bad guy in Madam Web, Ezekiel's fucking terrible. Like, the actor is very bad. And his lines are very audibly, obviously, like, subbed in later. Like, they did a fucking bad job with him. But the main cast, like the girls, are super likable, and they have good camaraderie, and the main character, Dakota Johnson, is like a fucking goofball weirdo in a very likable way. But yeah, anyway, this has been our Madam Web minute, I guess. Thanks to whoever got me started on Madam Web. What was I fucking... Oh yeah, the Craven one, B. Parker. I don't know. I'm down for it. Like, honestly, I'm fascinated by how they continually try to. I was like, Venom. I think I like both of those Venom movies. I'll watch them again. But the way that they continually try to put these characters that don't have a lot, like Madam Web is the biggest risk of them all, because that is literally a character directly, no pun intended, tied to Spider-Man. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about Joe Rogan. All right, let's get back to this dumb bullshit.
And this is our hero. This is our hero who's going to go do America's bidding and go over there and you're like, okay. And those movies are successful. And so they continue this relationship and become a bit of a propaganda arm for the government. And in turn, they don't fuck with you.
Okay.
Right. But that's what makes information so powerful is, you don't care how people feel about the ritual. It's about does following the ritual work.
Yeah.
And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one.
Typo in the stream title. Now you got me curious.
But the evidence will be clear. So like when I be like, oh, these guys are wearing dresses.
Where the fuck?
Everybody's like, oh.
Where the fuck did that? Like, that's a total non sequitur. What the hell? Katt Williams is a transphobe.
He keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's
That
not.
is a weird thing.
It's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully.
Plenty. Like, plenty of women have worn dresses unsuccessfully. I don't... Like, I get what they're trying to say, but it's also just not true, and I feel like that undercuts it. Like, the... Like, they're playing the card that, anything you do, if you're woke, anything you do will be automatically successful. And that's just not true in Hollywood. Like, there will be a lot of, you can look at somebody like Sam Smith or, God, what's his name? Elliot Page. And, like, there is a lot of praise for that, but I feel like, especially in a modern context, that's more just to offset the amount of fucking dipshittery that will come at them. Like, because they have people literally, like Matt Walsh and those people will just spend all day shitting on them nonstop.
That's how you understand what a ritual is. So 20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. It wasn't because I was a prophet. It's just I had gotten so much information that I understood that things are secular. So I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was...
Are they... I know Joe Rogan is a big weed guy. Are they high here? Because they sound fucking inebriated as shit, both of them. Like, they are not affluent at all here.
Baphomet, the transgender. And so...
I actually want to see if Baphomet, the transgender, comes up. But yeah, no, to say your question, I can probably make a better version. Like, if I get Madam Web on Blu-ray, I can probably tighten it up a little bit. Is that it? Baphomet is trans. Funny transgender. Oh, okay. Well, this is obviously for me. Baphomet respects pronouns. That's adorable. Okay, here we go. Pink news. I'm assuming that's just, yeah. Also, it's a fucking burn to call Katt Williams an actor first. Like, dude was a comedian for, like, 30 years?
knew that in the ritual of Baphomet.
He actually, here's the thing, if you close your eyes, he sounds like Ben Carson, actually.
Met the transgender. To show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass ring.
Really?
And it said
What?
both of those things. So I knew that both of those things would become popular in the future.
What?
And that somehow calling people the GOAT would be normalized. Oh,
Calling people the GOAT would be, oh my god. Oh, he's so dumb. He's so dumb. Okay. We don't have time to unpack all that, so we're just going to take the kissing the ass ring and we're just going to... That's going off to the side, right? Because GOAT stands for greatest of all time and is like mostly a sports term. How does that tie into transgender?
the sheep being always the most popular reference.
What?
God damn, we got some good weed, Katt. Jesus Christ.
This must be the weed
I'm trying to figure out how to jump in on that.
Right.
This is the thing I've never understood about Joe Rogan, is that why would you take seriously the thoughts of somebody whose thoughts are literally never clear? Like, if the dude is fucking high like this for all of these deep conversations, like, why would you take literally anything he says seriously? It's just like, it's this weird mainlining of this, like, first-year college student Cheech and Chong level philosophy, but for, like, gym bros and people who actually take him serious, and it's so... It's bizarre to me.
Which is my only goal.
You too, Lane Kaplan.
I always wonder whether or not all the stories in the Bible, it's just where we are experiencing it. Like the mark of the beast thing that we were talking about earlier. If that is not, I think if you had to tell a story for so many years, before anybody ever even figured out how to write it down, and you're telling a story about a civilization that allowed people to put brain implants in them.
Oh my god. The mark of the beast is not about... That is such... He's so fucking dumb. He's so... All right, one more.
And all of a sudden, the brain implants were hijacked by machines, and people became just meat zombies, controlled by corporations.
Okay, first off, that sounds like a capitalist hellscape, so why don't you take it up with the capitalists? Secondly, the Bible does not fucking say that.
That would be the mark of the beast. That would be a demonic thing. If a demon tricked human beings into wearing a hat that turned you into a zombie, that demon would be like a famous character in books and folklore. But that demon exists, and it's just technology. It just shows itself through this desire for the newest, latest innovations that are going to constantly fuel it becoming more and more powerful, until one day it tricks you into letting it into its head, like a vampire. Like the vampire stories, you had to let him in, remember?
Dude is fucking... I can't... God, my eye is like leaking. Dude is so dumb. He's so stupid. Oh, why is my eye... like something in my eye and I don't like it. Okay. Pulp Joe has super chatted $10. Not Matt Walsh. We will not watch Matt Walsh. Believe me, I've had enough CPAC to go for a while. Alrighty, I am... I don't want to do it when I'm so high, but not high, but like in views, but I am having a rough night. I need to go clear out, and I need to rest my voice because I'm trying to I need to go figure out what's happening in my fucking eye, and then I need to rest my voice because I'm trying to finish recording my CPAC part 2 tomorrow, and that way I can get editing and hopefully have it out by this coming Friday. In the meantime, do we want to go raid? It looks like Shark is playing games and Jack is looking at conservative content. So what do we want to do? Do we want to do Riverboat Jack or Shark 3-0? Let me know in the chat. Jack. All right, let's go say hi to Jack. And everybody get in. We're gonna go raid really quick. Go give love to Jack and go like the stuff that she does. And thank you all very much for watching. And I hope you guys have a good night. Thank you for joining. I know the stream was a little bit shorter, but thank you very much for joining.